Hi everyone, New York Times bestselling author Jamie Brumfield, and I am back with you for day 2 of our 5-day challenge where we are working on finding success by designing your desired future. Yesterday, you were tasked with the mission, should you choose to accept it, was to focus in on your long-term goals, creating a destination for a roadmap. Today, we're going to create the roadmap by working on creating milestones or stepping stones or a path, basically your stops along the way as you're working towards that final destination, whatever that may have been from your long-term goals. So if you didn't catch the first video, definitely go back and check out the first video and make sure that you have all of that. I'll link it up below as well as up above. Sorry, it's gonna be on this side. I'll link it up below as well as up above, and make sure you check that out. Then let's watch this one, because your task is going to be working today is going to be working off of what you discovered from yesterday. So if you have your yesterday's final destination, your long-term goals in place, then you're ready to move on with today's new assignment, new mission, should you choose to accept it. We're going to create a roadmap. And how we're going to do that is we're going to work backwards from your long-term goals. So whatever long-term goals you discovered yesterday, you're going to start working backwards by reverse engineering it and taking those pit stops and putting them on the roadmap. So you have on your book, your journey journal, which we talked about yesterday, your end destination. Maybe your end destination is on here or here. You choose whichever area you put your end destination on. But put your end destination on your journey journal and then start working backwards. So put your end destination here and how long that's going to take to get there, how long you're projecting it to take, whether it be 5 years, 1 year, 20 years, 50 years, so forth and so forth. Then start working backwards on the timeline. What do you need to accomplish on each of these little pit stops along the way to achieve this goal within the timeline that you've set? And you're just basically working backwards. So you, on your book, you just write, hey, this is what I need to do. 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 Now you've got a sort of roadmap that's going to help you. But that's not all you wanted to do when it comes to this step, because you've got a roadmap and you've, at this point in time, as you've worked backwards and you've gone through your timeline, either you've discovered that this is the right path for you, or this is not the right path for you, or you're questioning this path. And that's okay, because we're in the beginning stages. And remember, we want to focus in on making sure that you get at least in a general idea of where you want to go, what you want to do for the end destination, even if it changes over time, which we talked about yesterday. It could happen. Even if it changes over time, the whole idea is to get a good general idea of where you're going, and then maybe making small adjustments down the roadmap as you go. So this might, instead of being a straight line, might start to look like this as you're working through it, but it's not looking like this, because you just don't know which direction you're going. So you want to figure out that end destination like we talked about yesterday, and then work backwards. Once you've worked backwards, you need to go forward again and check and double check those dates, and double check those milestones, double check those still long-term, some short-term goals, double check them and make sure they're realistic. Walk through it and say, is this a realistic path? Is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Is this even feasible for me? Make sure that you're being honest with where you're going and what you're working on, because this is important. It's going to keep that positive energy, which is going to help push you forward as you get through those harder times, because there are going to be harder times. If life was easy, we'd all be super successful, rich millionaires. If achieving our goals was easy, we all would be there. We're not all there. So there is going to be work, there is going to be hard times, and it's going to take a little bit of work. So it's important to keep that in mind. So when you're going forward, make sure that you've got it all set up to kind of a general idea of your roadmap and what pit stops you're going to make, because that's what this is all about. And then make sure that it's realistic. It's something that you can realistically attain. It's something that you realistically can work towards. If you're 5'3", or if say like you're like me, 5'2", it's not realistic for me to think that I'm going to be a runway model. It's unless I go through some kind of growth uh, growth process where I gain like, what is it, 5'2"? I think it's 5'7" for a runway model. Unless I gain 5 inches somehow, or learn how to walk in 5-inch heels, which I don't even think is possible, it's, it's not a feasible goal for me. So you want to be realistic. You want to create something that's attainable, and that's okay, because unless they change the dimensions of what they're looking for runway models, I know I'm not going to be a runway model. it's okay. So just make sure that you're being realistic, make sure that's feasible. If there are challenges, and this is what we're going to talk about. So you might, as you're looking at this, say, oh, there's going to be these challenges. So here's the other piece to this. As you're going forward, you're making sure it's realistic. Right over here on this side, kind of make a list of what kind of challenges or obstacles you see could be getting in your way. This is going to be helpful as you're working through your goals. So you've got your timeline, you've worked backwards, reverse engineered it. Now you're going forward, you're making sure it's realistic, and then you're writing down any kind of potential obstacles that you see along the way. One potential obstacle is maybe you want to become a project manager and you want to do this in the next 2 years, which is very feasible for many people because there are classes online that you can take, and they ask you to, take the test within 18 months, I think it was the last time I looked. So to get your first project management certification. So there, it is possible, it is feasible, but maybe the paying for the class could be an obstacle. So you would put on the side, pay for class, right? This gives you an idea of what kind of obstacles that might come in the way. Or maybe as you're working through it, you realize that it's going to be a big time constraint and you've got 4 kids and it's going to be a challenge because you're the stay-at-home parent. Well, then you want to put on here time, right? So time is going to be a challenge. This is going to give you an idea of what kind of obstacles you're going to have to work through as you're working through and achieving these goals step by step. It's a proactive step that's going to be very, very beneficial to you. So it's definitely something you don't want to skimp on, because knowing what kind of obstacles you have or what kind of potential obstacles you have as you're working towards your goals will set you up for better success than you can ever imagine, because you're aware of it, you know that it's a potential, and you can work it into your plan. And we will talk about that when we do the Smart Wins plan on Friday. But it really is a super helpful technique to go through, reverse engineer, then go forward, make sure that it's realistic, and write down any kind of obstacles or potential obstacles that could get in the way of you achieving your goals. Doing those kind of things will really help you to set a really strong, solid foundation as you're working towards your success plan. And it's also going to help you to make sure that you're on the right path, because you may look at this, you may look at the obstacles that you have and you might say, whew, that's a lot. Maybe I want to rethink this again. And now is a good time to do that because you're only on day 2. So you have time to go back and look at your long-term goals and make sure that they are what you want. Now you may look at this and see the obstacles and say, hey, I'm up for the challenge. I'm ready to do it. And that's okay too. Then you know what's coming, you know what to look out for, and you're prepared and ready. So it is a win-win-win. It is something I've done with all my clients because it sets them up for success. And I teach them this process from the very beginning, building that foundation so that they can use that even after they stop working with me, even after, because the goal of a coach is not to work with a person forever. It's to teach them tools that are going to help them so they can do their own self-discovery, do their own work going forward. So that is about it. Now, something else to think about, and this is just an added extra credit if you want to do this, because we will address this in future videos. We will address this in we have addressed this in past videos, and I'm going to link up the video below for you. But something to keep in mind is the balanced life graph. And I've talked about the balanced life graph. It's a graph that you do once a month where you look at your 8 areas of your life and the generalization of these 8 areas of your life, and you rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and you look at the things that you can improve upon every month to continue moving you forward in success. Now, the additional piece here, if you want a little extra credit at this point, is to look at your balanced life graph and make sure that you've got that into consideration as well as you're planning this out. So, for example, if you're working on something and you see that it could create some financial struggles, maybe you got to do some investment in something, and so it's going to create some financial struggles. On your balanced life graph or your wheel, that your financial area is going to struggle. You want to kind of notate those areas so you're aware of it, so that you're ready for it, and so that you're prepared and you know that it's going to be a struggle. So if you are aware that there might be a financial struggle 2 years from now, then you can overcome that by saving $25 to $100 a month now for that fund, so that you will go ahead and be able to use that savings fund to offset any kind of financial struggles that you can see will happen in those 2 years. Or say like you see that there's going to be extra time that you're going to be spending on this, so your family life may have some struggles. You might not have time for your family as you usually do. Well, then communicating to your family and talking to them about it, going over it, and then coming up with a plan to make sure that you still find time for each other is a great way to overcome that and keep your life in balance. So your extra credit is to look at, or once you've gone through and you've notated all the obstacles that you see, look at your balance life wheel, your life wheel or balanced life wheel or balanced life graph. I mean, it goes by so many different names, the wheel of life or the wheel of balance. There are so many different names. Check out the video. I've linked it up below, and I'll also put it up here. Yeah, it's on this side. I'll also put it up here. But so check out the video and look at those areas and say, okay, so these are going to be the things that I'm going to struggle in. How can I offset that when this comes, or when I'm planning to see this struggle? You will find that it'll keep you in better balance, and the homeostasis of your life will be in better balance, and there will be more time for success because you won't feel stressed on the other areas, and there'll be more time for happiness because you're being proactive, and that's really the key here. All right, so that is it for today's video. There's a lot of, yesterday it was just, hey, find an end destination. And I gave you a bunch of different ways to do that. Today, it's really about kind of creating the skeleton of your plan, the basic roadmap with all the pit stops and the pitfalls that could happen. And that's really what today is all about. So there's a little bit more on your plate for this challenge today. And it's going to be very rewarding if you follow through with those areas, because it will set you up for better success as you continue down this path. So I am New York Times bestselling author Jamie Brumfield. And I do want to say, if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified when new videos become available. And if you've already subscribed to this channel, then you were probably one of the people that voted on getting this video series, this challenge. So I hope you're enjoying it. I do want to say from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate all your time, your time spent watching the videos, all the comments, the likes, the shares on videos, the shares on playlists, the shares on the channel. It's because of you that we continue to grow. Our conversations over in the community tab, all of that really means the world to me. So thank you so much for participating and engaging on this channel and letting me know what's working and what's not working, because I make these videos for you. So I do hope that you're finding this challenge challenging, but also rewarding, because I'm trying to make it challenging, but also rewarding, not too challenging, but definitely something where you can take some really hard hitting tools that you can add to your personal development toolbox. And that was my goal for this challenge. So I hope you're finding these very helpful. And remember, you want to set this up to watch this every month so that you can get more and more solid in the experience. Make sure that you're on the right track and make sure that you stay on the right track and be proactive. So thanks so much for tuning in. I am New York Times bestselling author Jamie Brumfield. And if you like paranormal, mystery, or romance, escape into paranormal with me. Check out my books on Amazon. I'll link them up below. And I do want to say thanks again for tuning in. I will see you in the next video. Bye.